Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about the struggle. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, can you make a video about the upcoming struggles a new software developer is going to face? Everything from learning struggles up to financial struggles. And the short answer is that you will be overwhelmed, you will feel like the dumbest person who ever lived, you're going to feel like you're never able to be fast enough or smart enough or things of this nature, and odds are that you're going to have a tough time getting that first job. These are some harsh truths, I'm sorry to say. Let me explain. So I want to start off by saying something first and foremost. I am very, very happy that I picked this profession and that I feel as if I am doing the thing that, well, I'm not going to say the thing I was meant to do, but it is a very rewarding profession. It is an absolutely amazing time for those of us who actually enjoy lifelong learning and having challenges that you overcome, and then you learn something that feels stimulating. It feels like an achievement every time you figure out an issue or you learn some way of improving your own skills. You feel it feels like an accomplishment. Software development can many times feel as a almost, well, if not daily, at least weekly achievement type of thing. But the question in this scenario was about the struggles. So I wanted to say that first and foremost because I don't want you to think that there's nothing positive about software development, because there are so many things that are amazing. But the struggles, they can be a little bit tough for people. And as I was saying, the first thing that is going to be a struggle for most people who start out becoming software developers is the overwhelming amount of stuff that you need to know in order to just do basic things. If you've never written anything with code, or you ever tried, like, every single person thinks that coding is easier than it actually is. Well, some people do actually think that it's harder, but most people, especially the business world and so forth, they really do believe that, you can produce something like an app or something like that that is meaningful in a matter of days. It's not happening, guys. It's never gonna happen. It takes much longer than that to make anything of quality. And for a software developer, even as a beginner, you may think that, oh, I'm going to make a computer game, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Everything you make for the first couple of years is going to suck like hell. Unless you have some type of tools or something like that that basically does all the work for you, you're not going to be able to make it, I promise you. It is a lot more complicated than what you think most of the time. And that's the first sensation you will feel. You will feel like there's so much, because it's not like you can only learn one little thing. There's a range of things needed to, even in order to produce a decent web page or website, you need to learn like tons and tons and tons of different things, which is usually not the case. Most people don't have to learn like several different areas and become an expert and like do all of these things in order to just produce something as basic as something that is in the browser, right? So that is the first thing. The second thing is going to be that you're going to struggle with a sensation of being stupid. You're going to struggle with a sensation of that nothing you do is good enough, or you're not fast enough, you're not smart enough. And that is, I'm sorry to say, that's not going away anytime soon. You are basically getting yourself into a profession where making mistakes and things of this nature, which is what we call bugs, because that is what it is basically. A bug is a mistake, a programming mistake of some sort, or an oversight at least. These are daily things. You spend all your days trying to figure out how to build something, or trying to figure out what mistakes you've made and how to fix those mistakes. And it's just constant. I don't know all that many other professions where you spend so much time, or you at least have so much time for reflection upon your own mistakes and your own, like, because the thing is, like, you can think of it as the difference between learning how to speak with people or speaking a second language versus mathematics. In a spoken language, you can kind of have the pronunciation incorrect and you can still have the other person understand what you're saying. Like there's a little bit of wiggle room for mistakes. Mathematics is not that way. If the equation is wrong or the result is wrong, the equation is wrong. There's no ambiguity about it. There's no wiggle room. It's either right or it's incorrect. And software is exactly the same way. It's either right or it's incorrect. Or either the code does what it's supposed to be doing or it doesn't. You can, of course, solve a problem in multiple ways. It's just that it's not as flexible as you would find your role to be in other professions, if that makes sense. So feeling stupid, feeling like there's always a time pressure, feeling like you're never good enough or something is always broken, that's going to be a struggle as well. And I mean, especially in the beginning where, I mean, you're going to spend so many hours just looking things up, like just figuring out to do something that feels basic to you. The one thing that I can tell you that happens is that if you stick by that long enough, if you're pig-headed or bull-headed enough to actually continue, you will reach a point where you feel comfortable with this. You will never ever get to a point where you don't make any mistakes in programming. Never. And as I say, it's going to be on basically a daily basis. You're going to make mistakes of some sort. No one ships a feature without writing incorrect software and then fixing it or having an oversight in their thought process or something like that. It's impossible. So you will get comfortable with it, but you will never get rid of it. So basically daily failure is also a struggle for quite a lot of people. And then of course the sensation of not being fast enough. You will simply not be, or you will always feel as if this should be done quicker. Nobody's going to feel like it's quick enough unless you're exceedingly good at what you do, and sometimes you're going to be fast enough. That's another thing that can feel like that. I know myself that I've struggled with that a few times, where you get to be fast enough and you feel like, oh shit, I can actually do this really, really quickly. And some people will give you praise because you're very quick. But then they come with some other story, some other time, which is much more tricky than that time that you were really fast. And now you feel like you have some type of that you need to prove yourself, and that you need to maintain that image that they have created around you, that you're really that you're fast and stuff like that. And that creates another form of stress, because now you have performance anxieties, and these things are constant. They happen all the time. It will get better with experience, but in the beginning this is tough. It is a struggle. As for the question around finances, I can't really comment all that much, because when it comes to supporting yourself or like financial struggles as a software developer, it's different for everybody, because I mean everybody has a different lot in life. Some people have the good fortune of having to come from a wealthy family, or they might have an inheritance, and some people are unfortunately poor as poor can get. What I can say is that usually the first job is the struggle. That's where it all comes down to. You should always, if you want to be a software developer, make sure that you account for the fact that you may not just get a job like that. Like, it might take some time. Some people are going to get the first job they ever apply to and just get directly into the industry. And once you're in the industry, I want you to know, once you have 1 or 2 years of work experience, the whole conversation changes. You will go from basically almost no one wants to hire you, to that everybody is more or less is going to want to hire you, assuming of course that you are a good fit for that company. But account for that time, the first job, where it can range from weeks to, in some extreme cases, I've seen people have to apply for, I'm not saying years, but several months, if not over a year, in order to find the first job. And that is definitely something that you should think about when you're like checking, you're evaluating if this is financially feasible for you, or like if you're going to pursue this or not. So what I want you to take away from this is that the struggles of software development usually comes down to that there's so much to learn. You will never learn it all, but you need to learn quite a lot of it in order to be able to even do basic things. If you have some idea of that you're going to take a boot camp or you're going to code a little bit for a few weeks and then you can make things that are amazing, that is very naive. It is as naive as thinking that you're going to run a marathon in a week, or that you're going to become a great artist and paint amazing paintings without practicing for a very long time. So basically and apart from that, it's a struggle to have to deal with things such as the sensation of never being good enough, the sensation of that you're slow, the sensation of that you're stupid, or things of this nature. That is also something that you're going to have to deal with, because every problem that you're solving is different. And lastly, when it comes to finances, you should account for. I can't give you financial advice on exactly how your journey is going to start, because everybody starts with different amounts of money in their pocket when they decide to become a programmer. You're going to face depending on where you are, the same sort of problem any student has. It doesn't really matter if it's programming or something else. What you should be aware of is that the first job can be tricky to get. It's not impossible, and if you stick by it, I'm sure that you can figure it out. But it is a tricky thing. It's not the demand for software developers is very high for experienced software developers, but quite a lot of companies want to avoid hiring more junior profiles. So just account for that first job can be a bit of a bother, and then hopefully you will find programming to be as amazing and stimulating as I find it to be. Have a great day.